God damn it. Alright, so I saw The Predator today, and holy shit was this a disappointment. And completely missed the mark. I would tell you what it's about, but this movie's such a goddamn mess that there's really no cohesive narrative to this. Like, I'll just go with the basic overlay, is that this character, McKenna, he is the head of this mercenary kind of military group, and he's in Mexico, and this predator that's escaping from another predator ship, yeah, I know, crash lands on Earth, and he sees it, and he kills 2 of his men, and then they investigate him, and there's so much to this. It's a complete total mess. Now, what's the biggest issue with this movie is that it's not a Predator movie. It does not feel like a Predator movie, which is super ironic considering the guy that directed the movie and wrote the movie was actually in Predator. Like the very first one. Shane Black was in Predator. Now, what do I mean by it doesn't feel like a Predator movie? Well, let's look at the first 2 movies. The first movie, Predator 1, the one that came out in the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What that movie is about is this Green Beret military group goes into the jungle to look for this group that just disappeared. And it's these hulking people. It's got Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, Jesse Ventura, Arnold Schwarzenegger, these big dudes. And they're getting picked off one by one by something that they don't know what it is, and they're genuinely scared. So it is an action movie, but it's also a bit of a horror movie. It's very frightening to think about. Then the second movie, the one that came out in the 90s with Danny Glover and Gary Busey. That movie, it takes the same kind of content as the first one, except it takes place in the city, and this thing is just killing criminals on the street, and they're trying to figure out who it is. Well, it turns out it's the Predator. And you don't actually see the Predator in the first 2 movies until the midway point towards the end. And that's something that this movie also gets wrong, is that it has the Predator kind of shown oh, hey, it's the Predator, it's an alien movie, kind of right from the beginning. I know you kind of assume that with the movie being called The Predator and with the press at its beginning and all the ads and everything, all the advertising and marketing, that's kind of what it shows. Yeah, this is the Predator. But even some of the movie Predators, the one with Adrian Brody, the one that came out in the 2000s, even that gets it right because it still has a mysterious thing to it where these people just drop on this planet, they have no idea and not sure what's after them. It still adds a mysterious element to it. See, and you don't get that in this movie whatsoever. It's a mess. There's plot lines that really just are not needed in this movie, and there are some random ass actors in this movie. I didn't know Olivia Munn was in this movie, and she just randomly shows up. Same thing with Thomas Jane, but there were just some people that just randomly were in the movie. I knew Jake Busey was in it. Jake Busey is the son of Gary Busey's character, and Jake Busey's character is the son of Gary Busey's character from the second movie. But there's some plot lines that just don't go anywhere, and another big problem this movie has is that there are other villains in this movie. So, now, let me ask a question. Shouldn't the villain of The Predator be the Predator? And just the Predator? I mean, that's what I would think. That's what I would assume. But no, you don't get that. You don't get that here. You get that, that it's this other, kind of kind of head honcho, kind of oh, well, we need the Predator to make new weapons and blah, blah, blah. That sort of villain. It's so tired. And, I mean, the one thing I will give this movie is that there are some parts that are, and they're purposely genuinely hilarious. Keegan-Michael Key is actually really funny in this movie, and so is Thomas Jane, and, and Charlie Hunnam Light. They're all, and they all have pretty good chemistry, and they all are pretty good actors. But there are some parts that were stupid. There's predator dogs in this movie, and I'm really? Is that needed? I don't know. There's just so many things that this movie gets wrong, which is, again, so ironic considering Shane Black was actually in Predator. I don't get it. Why would you try to make this movie funny and humorous and really not really suspenseful when it's a goddamn Predator movie? That's what Predator is. It's supposed to be suspenseful. Hell, even Alien vs. Predator was more suspenseful than this. This movie's easily the worst out of all the Predator movies. Out of all of them. Easily. And I'm forced to give this movie a 4 out of 10. It's just not a good movie. If you're a fan of Predator, you're not gonna like this movie. But I mean, if you're an everyday average moviegoer, you might like it. But I don't know. I don't. Just this movie was just so disappointing and just a waste of time for me. All right, thank you everyone for watching my review. And if you want to watch my last one, it is over here. Click my face right down below and subscribe. That'd be awesome. I try to upload at least once a week, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.